thing can be bad. Overdoses of iron in single-celled organisms more than 2 billion years ago may have slowed the evolution of Earth's atmosphere. These organisms are known as cyanobacteria, and they're still around today. As they convert nutrients and sunlight into usable energy, they release oxygen. Much of it bubbles to the surface and enters the atmosphere. In fact, cyanobacteria were responsible for giving Earth an oxygen-rich atmosphere in the first place. The early atmosphere contained almost no oxygen at all. As cyanobacteria developed and spread, though, they pumped vast amounts of it into the air. There was an especially big uptick about 2.3 billion years ago. A recent study, though, says that large amounts of iron in the water may have slowed things down. Iron-rich water was released from volcanoes on the ocean floor. The iron overloaded many of the microscopic organisms, killing them off. So the atmosphere got its oxygen in waves. When there was just the right amount of iron, lots of oxygen was added. But when there was too much iron, the process slowed down, delaying the transformation to the life-supporting blanket of air we enjoy today. Science in the Sea is a production of the University of Texas Marine Science Institute at Port Aransas. I'm Holly Brawley.
Like to spend a few days in another world? Then write this down. Golden Bear Cottages, Big Bear Lake. Now, listen, this is not some corporate-owned operation. It's family-owned and operated by some real nice people. Unique? Oh, you bet. Golden Bear Cottages features 28 one-of-a-kind cabins on a 5-acre historic site. Great for families, couples, and groups. And cabins are available with 1 to 7 bedrooms. Golden Bear Cottages is just a stone's throw from Big Bear Lake and super close to 3 great ski areas. Now, I could go on all day about Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear, but to see everything, just go to goldenbear.net. Again, goldenbear.net. Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear. Clean, comfortable, and affordable. Check them out. goldenbear.net.
How would you like to have a large portion of your credit card debt completely forgiven, both the principal and interest? National Credit Card Relief wants to give you free information that shows you how. Thousands of people have used this program to have their credit card debt forgiven. So call now for free information and consultation. We'll give you the secret to this money-saving program absolutely free. Get eye-opening information that could save you thousands of dollars a year or a month, depending on how much you owe. In fact, the more you owe, the more you can save. All you need is $10,000 or more in credit debt, medical bills, or department store debt to qualify. Call for free debt forgiveness information now at 800-546-2909. That's 800-546-2909. To discover the secret to having your credit card debt forgiven, call 800-546-2909. 800-546-2909. Don't wait. Call now. 800-546-2909.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family-owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
The 9th Annual Inland Empire's largest mixer returns to the Ontario Convention Centre Wednesday, October 21st. Discover new business service providers from nearly 200 exhibitors. Connect with potential customers. Build and create new business relationships, all while sampling from local restaurants and caterers. The largest mixer is open to the entire business community. Wednesday, October 21st at the Ontario Convention Centre. Admission is just $20. For exhibitor and attendee information, visit iemixer.com for Inland Empire's largest mixer.
Southern California's Inland Talk Express is KCAA.
Welcome to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag. Rick is a safe money specialist, primarily serving Southern California, but he's sought after nationally for his expertise in helping people secure their retirements. Mr. Lewag is a licensed insurance professional in the state of California and specializes in working with business owners, people who are near retirement, or those who have already retired with wealth management, income planning, and asset protection strategies. And now, here to talk to you about safe money and retirement, your host, Rick Lewag.
Hello and welcome again to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag. I'm your host. I am a safe money retirement and income specialist, primarily here in Southern California. However, I do have clients all over the country. If you'd like to call in and ask a question during the show, if you're local to the Southern California Inland Empire area, the number is 909-888-5222. Or if you're outside the 909 area code, outside the Inland Empire, call us toll-free at 888-909-1050. Once again, we talk about all the threats to your retirement savings, to your business, all the threats to your money that you're probably not going to hear from your certified financial planner, your stockbroker, your CPA, and most definitely not from your group health insurance agent. The hot topic today and yesterday, the big headlines all over the news, is not the Republican debates anymore. It is the new Obamacare rates. Open enrollment for Medicare started in the middle of October, and open enrollment for Obamacare started November 1st, goes through March 31st, and most everybody that ended up on somebody's website, whether it was healthcare.gov, whether it was Covered California, or whether it was directly to the insurance companies, almost everybody got sticker shock for 2016. Now, I'm not in the health insurance business. I do talk about health insurance a lot because it does protect you from catastrophic medical expenses, and especially at the senior level now, because of the Medicare reimbursement reductions, it puts a threat to most seniors' retirement savings where they're exposed to a catastrophic medical expense. We've talked about that on almost every show. But what I want to talk about on tonight's show is primarily what's causing these crazy rates, and I mean crazy rates, and what you can do about it. I've got a special guest for you tonight, considered one of the top health insurance experts in the Southeast. But one of the things I do want to talk about before we bring on my friend Vito is what's causing this? What's causing these crazy rates? Now, if you get a big heavy-duty subsidy, you probably don't really care. If you are getting your health insurance from your employer, you probably haven't noticed and you probably don't really care. But why you should care is this is why. Especially if you're not paying attention because your employer is covering your portion of your health insurance, why you should care, because your employer cares. It's hammering him or her. And let me tell you what's the worst news to an employee is when their employer is getting hammered, because it trickles downhill, and that pain is going to trickle downhill eventually. If you're getting a deep subsidy, you really don't care. You really don't pay attention. But some of these exorbitant rate increases are being felt by people on the higher level plans like silver, gold, and platinum. My premiums in 2013, the last year before Obamacare, for me and my two daughters on a great PPO plan, which you can hardly even find anymore, was $350 a month, $359 to be exact. The first year of Obamacare, it jumped to $650. And last year, 2015, this year, $850. And now for next year, it's going to be close to $900 a month for me and my two daughters, age 15 and age 12. I had people calling me all day yesterday saying, oh my God, where do I go? Where can I get help? They knew I didn't sell health insurance, but they wanted me to guide them somewhere where they can get relief. I was hearing rate increases as much as 40%. I had one gentleman call me. He said, Rick, this year it's $1,000, and I just checked the lowest rate I could get for next year with the plan we want is $1,400. Well, our guest is going to tell us why that is and what you can do about it if you've got caught in that crunch. I've known Vito Malfetto, for about 5 or 6 years. I consider him a go-to guy that I go to when I want to talk to him about health insurance or term life insurance. He specializes in those two products especially. So he is my go-to mentor when I need questions answered about what are these current policies, who's the best plans, who are the best companies. Vito, are you on? Can you hear me?
Hey, Rick. How are you?
Mr. Malfetto, thanks for staying up late. I know on the East Coast it's 3 hours difference than here on the West Coast, but I know you're hearing the same thing I'm hearing from clients. Oh, my God, the big OMG, can these rates really be for real? And are you seeing the same thing in the Southeast that I'm seeing here on the West Coast as far as rates and rate increases?
Yeah, probably worse, only because California seems to be the front runner when the bad news comes out, and it doesn't hit us until later on. And now that people are finally seeing it, especially yesterday and today, I'm telling you, it's been crazy, and everybody wants to know why. And the only thing I can tell them is, listen, these insurance companies, they're making, if you look at their stocks, they're doing very, very well. And there's a reason for that, because they keep cutting back into the plan more and more. That the consumers got to pay more out of pocket. I'm not going to get into a philosophical discussion about why it's happening from a political standpoint, but these insurance carriers are designing this to make it more and more difficult for the average consumer to afford health insurance. I had a doctor on the phone this morning with me. And she says, "Look, I just want to cut to the chase. I want a plan that's a PPO, and I want to go to any hospital in the country: Mayo Clinic, MD Anderson in Houston, Sloan Kettering in New York. And if I'm in a plan like that," I said, "Well, you're about 4 years too late."
Right, they don't exist anymore. Right, yeah. Now, Vito, tell the audience a little bit about your background in the insurance consulting business, and I know that you lived in Florida. You moved to Georgia, but you still practice. You still have clients in all over the Southeast, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you're focusing still primarily on health insurance, some group health insurance and life insurance. What's your advice to not the employee that's getting covered by their employer? They have their own dilemma when they're adding their spouse and dependents onto their group health insurance plan. We can go into that, but what's your advice for folks that are responsible for their own health insurance, not seniors on Medicare? We'll get onto them in just a few minutes. Okay, they have their own bailiwick and their own challenges and their own threats to their money from this new egregious bill, but For me, for example, for me, I'm self-employed. I'm responsible for my own health insurance. Is there an alternative? And if there is, what are you recommending to clients that come to you and say, Vito, I can't afford $1,400 a month for health insurance, but I have to have it, or I get penalized. What are you recommending, if anything, they can do to kind of ease the burden of that?
Well, I can only relate this, to a story, but we've all worked hard all our lives, and the one thing I don't want somebody dictating to me is what hospital I have to go to, what doctor I have to see. I want to be able to have choice, and right now with the plans out there, the choices are very, very limited. I was paying for myself, Rick, about $600 a month on a Cigna plan about a year ago, just for me, and I said, "This is nuts." I'm paying, over $6,000 a year in premiums, and I have a $6,700 deductible. That means I walk in the hospital, I walk out of there with a bill for $13,300 that I have to pay right off the bat. I said, "This is something's wrong here."
Right.
Well, lo and behold, a company came out called Philadelphia American. I don't mind telling that, and it is basically it's a choice of Obamacare in lieu of Obamacare, And what it is, it's based on the old-time health insurance that we knew about years ago. It's an insurance plan that reimburses the covered person for incurred medical expenses, and sometimes people call this, a fee-for-service plan.
An indemnity type plan.
Now,
these were the type of plans. I know how old you are. You're in your early 60s. I'm 59. I would venture to say that these were the kind of plans that when our parents first bought health insurance, that these were the kind of plans, these major medical plans, these were what our families were insured by before there was any HMOs or PPOs or before there was any Obamacare, that's for sure. Right?
Well, and the beauty part about it is that you everything is negotiated, and they're actually reimbursing you for as an example. If I have to go in the hospital for a knee replacement, that surgery procedure is going to be probably about $5,300. That's without the hospital bill. But with this plan will pay me $12,000 for 2 days in the hospital, because we've got to figure you'll be in that 2 days. It's going to pay me $4,500 for the surgical procedure. And then what I've done is I've attached supplement plans. You have to have supplement plans to help you go along, because I know darn well when I come out of the hospital with a knee surgery operation, I'm not going to be at work for a while, and who's going to pay my bills? So the accident plans that I have, it's going to pay me almost $13,000. So yeah, I mean, I'm ahead of the game by $30,000.
Okay, so let me get this straight, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure everybody understands where you're going with this. Okay, these are health plans. Do you want to call it insurance? I guess you do, because you have to have a license to sell it. Okay, but they are health plans, more traditional type health plans, that instead of paying the provider, they pay you the money.
Correct.
Okay, so they pay you the money, and then you pay the bill, or you get reimbursed for paying the bill. Either way, and there's a schedule of payments for particular types of services, like a knee replacement, a hip replacement, things like that. Is that what you're describing?
That's exactly right. And remember the golden rule: whoever has the gold makes the rules. I'd rather have the money in my pocket and pay the doctor, because I can negotiate from a stronger point.
You can, yeah, right. You can go to a doctor nowadays, and you can negotiate an awful lot if you're paying cash. Absolutely. So these reimbursement or indemnity policies, are they as expensive as a typical traditional Obamacare plan?
It costs me about $212 a month.
$212. What would a qualified Obamacare plan, say the bronze or silver, for 2016 cost you?
For me, $750.
So you're saving $450 a month right off the bat. $400 a month. Okay,
right.
And the money's coming to you. Now, there's a couple things. Number one, you've patched up what we would call the holes in the plan. So you're using an accident plan, a critical illness plan, maybe a prescription drug plan,
right.
What else? Critical illness, something like that. And those plans total, those little supplemental plans might be another total of what?
Actually, it's only about, it costs me only maybe about $85 a month. So
you're looking, for you, is just over $400 a month? For everything?
Not even.
Okay, all right.
Not even.
Versus $700 a month, and rising and going up every year because of your age, and a huge deductible, and another $12,000. I think these plans on the exchange or even off the exchange have maximum out-of-pocket limits that are still about $12,000 on top of that, aren't they, Vito?
Right.
Yeah. So you're looking at huge exposure, which is the whole design of Obamacare, to be quite honest with you. The entire design of Obamacare is transfer the monetary risk from the insurance company over to the insured. And most people don't see that, but through that little numerical or monetary, manipulation, by higher premiums, higher deductibles, and higher co-pays, and higher maximum out-of-pockets, and fewer doctors you can go see, they're basically controlling how much you're going to use health care. They're saying you got to get really, really, really sick before it's justified you using your insurance, and the insurance companies love that. However, here's some of the things that are causing the increases in premiums. Is most of the people that are using health insurance are folks that were previously uninsured, and now they're getting it now for free or low cost. So they're wearing out a path to the doctor's office. Doesn't cost that much. I mean, they might have a little copay, but they're burning it up, right? Right, Vito? Those are the folks that are really using it up.
That's exactly right. And
now, there's one more question because we're going to take a break in a couple seconds, and I'm going to ask you to stay for segment 2 because I want to get in this a little deeper, because anybody that's listening, you better pay attention to this, because if you're not responsible for your health insurance, there's going to come a time that your employer is probably going to say, heck with it, I'm not offering group health insurance anymore. That's down the road. That's in the future. If you do provide your own health insurance, you're going to have to address this sooner or later. But what I want to talk about when you come back from the break is, are these plans that you're describing, are they Obamacare qualified, and do they meet the compliance for the individual mandate? We're going to get to that in just a minute. This is Rick Lewag at Safe Money Talk, KCAA 1050 AM Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
Never before has there been a piece of legislation that impacts so many Americans in so many ways as the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. This ponderous bill is now the law of the land, yet many of us do not yet fully understand how it impacts our health care, our finances, even our retirement. It's hard to get past all the political rhetoric and grandstanding politicians and learn the truth about Obamacare. That's why Rick Lewag wants to offer you his free Obamacare Survival Kit. This kit contains information you need right now to protect your business and retirement from the effects of Obamacare. There are no strings attached, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose by calling Rick's toll-free number right now and reserving your copy. That's 1-800-284-3887. Your survival kit is waiting for you now at 1-800-284-3887. That's 1-800-284-3887.
Attention business owners, if you're concerned about the financial impact of Obamacare on your business, if higher health insurance rates will have a devastating impact on your bottom line, then you need to write down this number right now, 1-800-284-3895. We'll rush you a free copy of our popular Obamacare Survival Kit. This kit will help you discover ways you can lessen the impact of Obamacare on your business. Reserve your copy. Again, that's 1-800-284-3895.
Are you particular about the vitamins and supplements you take? Have you found that the big chain stores simply don't have what you need? Then you should know about the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. You'll find rock-bottom prices on gourmet, top-quality vitamins and mineral supplements at the Vitamin Center. Get 30% off on all supplements and homeopathic products. All, not just selected merchandise. In addition, you'll find 30% off on all cosmetics, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, makeup, hair coloring, and lip gloss. And all tea products are discounted 20%. Why go anywhere else? See for yourself at the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills, or check out the savings and place your order online, VitaminCenterAgoraHills.com. Start saving by getting what you need from the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. And tell a friend that the Vitamin Center ships nationwide. Call 818-707-0005. That's 818-707-0005. The Vitamin Center of Agora Hills.
KCAA.
Welcome back. This is Rick Lewag with Safe Money Talk. Before the break, we were talking, and we will continue talking, with Vito Malfetto from Georgia. He's a health insurance consultant. Vito, in the 4 or 5 minutes we have left in this segment, I want you to talk about two things quickly, please. Is number one, are the plans that you're talking about, an indemnity plan and supplemental plans, are they compliant with Obamacare, and does it satisfy the individual mandate? And number two, you mentioned to me in a previous discussion how many bankruptcies now you're starting to see as a result of health insurance.
Yeah, and I'll also add something on to that as well, what I'm doing with my extra money that I would have been paying into Obamacare. But the bottom line is that those types of plans are not compliant to the new health care law.
Okay.
So I said, well, I really don't want to have to pay the penalty for not having health insurance. Well, lo and behold, guess who's exempt from Obamacare? Most of your Christian organizations.
Okay.
Such as Christian Healthcare Ministries. They're exempt from Obamacare, and they actually have a plan. They have a gold, silver, and bronze plan. It goes back to the biblical terms of sharing, and I pay $45 a month, and I have actually $125,000 worth of hospital protection. But now, because I have that plan, Rick, I'm exempt from Obamacare.
And the penalty this year would be 2.5% of your modified adjusted gross income if you didn't have health insurance, okay? And it's going to go up. So for $45 a month, you become a member of Christian Health Ministries, right? Which is just and basically it's giving you additional coverage, but and you can combine that with your indemnity plan and your supplemental plans, correct, Vito?
Absolutely.
Okay,
that's
perfect.
The way to do it.
So for $45 a month, you are you're exempting yourself from the penalty of not having health insurance. Okay, way to go. That's pretty good strategy, Vito. I like that strategy quite a bit.
Well, it's helping. It's really, really helping a lot of people who just can't afford to pay these exorbitant rates and being beholden to the insurance carriers. And really, you're really self-funding yourself. And what I've done, Rick, I'm at the age where I'm not too far from retirement. And with that extra money, what I did was I know that one day, we're all going to be susceptible to a heart attack or a stroke or cancer or nursing home. And if anybody's ever checked out, the cost of nursing homes, they're prohibitive. So I actually took that money and took out a life insurance plan that has living benefits. And so guess what? If I don't use those living benefits, my children get the proceeds from the insurance.
Oh, yeah, we've discussed those on this show. In fact, I write a lot. I talk a lot about them in my new book, You're Going to Need a Bigger Boat, How Obamacare Threatens Your Retirement Savings. Those life insurance policies with living benefits that let you accelerate the death benefit. You don't have to die to get. If you get diagnosed with a critical or terminal illness or have a chronic medical event, you can accelerate that, and that cash comes to you once again. So what you've basically done, Vito, is you've converted all those policies paying you directly, and then you you pay the providers. We've got about 2 minutes. I want you to talk real quick about bankruptcies in the United States caused by health insurance and catastrophic medical expense, because that's going to segue us right into the next guest.
Well, in 2014, there were 1,600,000 non-business-related bankruptcies in this country.
Just over 1 million. Okay.
1 million people. 68% of that, which roughly is 684,000 folks, claimed bankruptcy because of medical, not because of health insurance, because of medical. They couldn't pay their medical bills. Out of that 684,000, 492,000 claimed bankruptcy, and they had health insurance.
Wow. So almost 500,000 bankruptcies in 2014 of people caused by a catastrophic medical expense who had health insurance.
That's right. They just didn't have the right health insurance.
And they didn't find out, like everybody else with insurance, they didn't find out what they didn't have as far as coverage until it was too late, right? Yeah, absolutely. Right. So this is a way to protect yourself from the penalty, from catastrophic medical expense, bankruptcy due to that. So any other quick advice for anybody, Vito, in the last minute or so, last 30 seconds?
I will say that your audience is incredibly lucky to have you. You and I have been talking about this for 4 years. You have predicted, not me, you have predicted to the T how this whole thing was going to unfold and how we're all going to be bankrupt soon.
Yeah.
But you were spot on, and your audience is very, very lucky to have you in Southern California.
Well, Vito, I'm lucky to call you a friend. You're awesome. You did a great job. God bless you, my friend. Unfortunately, every prediction that we did make on this Obamacare stuff has come true, but there are ways around it. They just need to contact us. And you're a godsend, Vito. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, take care.
God
Thanks.
Bless, Rick. Bye-bye.
That segues. Are we taking a break? we are going to take a break, okay? Joe, the engineer, says let's take a break before we come on with our next guest. This is Rick Lewag, Safe Money Talk, KCAA 1050 AM. We'll be right back.
Attention seniors on Medicare, pre-retirees, and business owners. If you're thinking that Obamacare won't affect you, think again. The more you learn about Obamacare, the more you will discover that everyone is affected by this legislation, seniors and business owners most of all. Take steps now to safeguard yourself, your family, your business, and your retirement income from the ravages of Obamacare. Call Rick Lewag's toll-free number 1-800-284-3887 and Rick will rush you a complimentary copy of his popular Obamacare Survival Kit. This kit will help you discover ways you can lessen the impact of Obamacare on you, your loved ones, and your business. Obamacare is here, and it could very well threaten everything for which you have worked so hard. So, call 1-800-284-3887. Again, that's 1-800-284-3887 to get your Obamacare Survival Kit today. It's absolutely free.
If you're a senior on Medicare or are about to enroll in Medicare, you need to pay close attention to this. Many seniors are making mistakes with their money from which they will never recover, simply because they don't understand how Obamacare will affect them in retirement. For a limited time, we're offering a free Obamacare Survival Kit containing information you must know in order to protect your retirement. Call toll-free right now to reserve your copy. 1-800-284-3895. Again, that's 800-284-3895.
Are you particular about the vitamins and supplements you take? Have you found that the big chain stores simply don't have what you need? Then you should know about the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. You'll find rock-bottom prices on gourmet, top-quality vitamins and mineral supplements at the Vitamin Center. Get 30% off on all supplements and homeopathic products. All, not just selected merchandise. In addition, you'll find 30% off on all cosmetics, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, makeup, hair coloring, and lip gloss. And all tea products are discounted 20%. Why go anywhere else? See for yourself at the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills, or check out the savings and place your order online. VitaminCenterAgoraHills.com. Start saving by getting what you need from the Vitamin Center of Agora Hills. And tell a friend that the Vitamin Center ships nationwide. Call 818-707-0005. That's 818-707-0005. The Vitamin Center of Agora Hills.
For the record, hell, we are the record. KCAA, the Inland Talk Express.
Welcome back to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lewag. Before the break, we were chatting with health insurance consultant Vito Malfetto. One of the last things Vito was talking about was the increase in bankruptcies caused by catastrophic medical expenses. And that segues us perfectly into the interview we did with our next guest. Last week, we interviewed a PhD in mathematics who's a professor at Biola University. However, that's not his main job. His main job is a bankruptcy attorney. And I read an article that he wrote recently about how he predicts a spike and increase in bankruptcies due specifically to Obamacare. His name is Dr. Nicholas Gebhardt, and we interviewed him last week, and now we want you to hear this interview now. It's awesome. Pay great attention to this because you're gonna hear some things that you've not heard before. Dr. Nicholas Gebhardt.
Okay, as promised, our guest today is Dr. Nicholas Gebhardt. He's an attorney at law. Dr. Gebhardt is a certified bankruptcy specialist here in the state of California, representing small business owners, individuals, and married couples who seek relief from creditors. In addition to having a thriving law practice, Dr. Gebhardt is also a mathematician and an adjunct faculty member at Biola University in Whittier. Nick, welcome to Safe Money Talk, and thank you very much for joining us today. Thanks for taking some time out of what I know must really be a hectic schedule between you and your law firm and teaching at Biola to join us today.
Thank you, Rick. one minor correction. It turns out Biola's in La Mirada, which is right next to Whittier. But yes, I do teach probability and statistics there because I have a PhD in mathematics. And then most of my time is devoted to doing bankruptcy. And in that capacity, I've seen a fairly wide spectrum of reasons why people go into bankruptcy. And certainly one that has been fairly consistent over the years is medical debt. You have people with some sort of catastrophe in their lives, and they have a hospital stay, surgery, whatever it is, and rack up a lot of medical debt, and as a result, they need some kind of debt relief. And so that is one of the drivers historically that's been a part of the bankruptcy structure. And that was one of the arguments that was given in favor of having the Affordable Care Act, which is known also as Obamacare. The whole Obamacare promise was that there wouldn't be any more medical bankruptcies because everybody would be taken care of. That was one of the fundamental pillars of Obamacare. There were a couple of other pillars of Obamacare. You may remember, and you can see this on YouTube anytime you want, lots and lots of videos where the president said, if you like your current plan, if you like your physician, you get to keep them. Period.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And another thing that he promised was that people's premiums would go down by about $2,600 a year. And so we need to test those to see whether or not the president was telling the truth. Well, before I get into that, what I would like to talk about for just a second is something that is of a very fundamentally serious nature regarding Obamacare, and that is its role, the role of government in people's lives. People who haven't read the Constitution might not be aware of one of the main driving points of the U.S. Constitution. And what that was is to protect the citizens from their government. When the Constitution was first developed, there had been a mindset in the colonies and then in the young country that strong governments tend to oppress people. And, of course, their experience with George III really confirmed this in their minds. And so they set up their big ideas in the Constitution. And there were several big ideas. One was to break things up, break the power up so that part of it resided with the states, and each state would have its own government, and then part of the power would be in the federal government. But that wasn't good enough, because there was still the concern that government could be too strong and oppress the people. So it had to be broken up even further. And it was broken up into three pieces on the federal level. There was the legislative branch, the Congress, and in the Constitution, right after the preamble, the very first sentence says, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which will consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. So that means that any law that's passed must be passed by Congress, not by the executive branch. The second article deals with the power of the executive branch, and the third with the judicial branch. And the idea here was to break things up so that the government couldn't oppress the people. And after the Constitution was drafted, there was a move to say we need still further protections against the power of government. And that led to the drafting of the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. All of these were designed to protect the population from the government. So you'll see, for example, in the Bill of Rights, such things as Congress shall make no law concerning. These are designed to prevent a government from taking away freedoms from people. One of the things that stands out with Obamacare is it is a fundamental intrusion into the economic life of the American populace.
Do you think that was, Nick, do you think that was done deliberately?
Absolutely. This was a power grab, plain and simple. This was not...
I do too.
Oh, nice to take care of people. This was, we want to control something that is of a fundamental nature to people. And it goes back to the German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck, who was a ruler in Germany in the 1800s, and he established the Social Security system in Germany. And you might think, well, what an enlightened thing. He was wanting to take care of people. That's not what he said. His argument was, if we are the source, if government is the source of people's sustenance, they will never rebel. And so Social Security in Germany was designed so that people would be dependent on government and they would not challenge government.
And Obamacare, you believe, is a version of that, is a representation of that theme. Okay.
Much so. This is government stepping in and taking control of a very large swath of the American economy and a portion of the American economy that means a great deal to individuals. If you get sick, that's a big deal for you.
And especially excuse me, but I've seen it more so with seniors because they're the ones, like a car with 100,000 miles on it, they're the ones that break down the most usually. So I found that, young people in their 30s, 40s, they're concerned about their health insurance, but nothing like seniors over 60. That's one of their number one concerns is their health care and their health insurance, their health coverage, etc. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. And so this is a great power grab because if seniors are now held in control by the government over their health care, they have a much less likelihood to try to rebel, to challenge what the government's doing. And
if I might, what first caught my attention of you was an article that you did in January this year in which you predicted that Obamacare would cause an increase in bankruptcies, which is actually something that I've been saying for a couple of years now, and I've been called Chicken Little.
I think you're right.
I definitely want to address this issue, and I'm hoping that you can expand a lot more on that article, because in that article, if I'm allowed to quote you, you actually say, and I quote, "I suspect that as more people are unable to secure full-time employment and are stuck with 2 or more part-time jobs, and as health care premiums continue to rise, which they have, that there will be a surge in bankruptcy filings." Now, it's a little bit different in what I've been predicting. I've been predicting bankruptcies for seniors, which haven't occurred in the past, more so in the future as a result of the declining and restrictive Medicare networks, okay? That the shrinking Medicare and Obamacare networks are going to cause seniors that want to go see specific doctors and hospitals to pay out of pocket because they won't be covered by their insurance. You're taking a little different tack, but coming up with the same result and ending up in at the same location, bankruptcy. So maybe, Nick, kind of expand on that theory a little bit more, please. Is your prediction of more and more bankruptcies and caused by what?
Well, by way of introduction, let me give you a little personal experience. When Obamacare went into effect, my insurance policy was canceled because I'm a sole practitioner and my employee is my wife, who, by the way, has a PhD from UCLA's School of Business, so she's a very good office manager. In any event, our policy was canceled, putting to the lie what the president promised, that if you liked your policy, you liked your physician, you could keep it, period. Of course, my last name wasn't period, so I was out of luck on that one. And then the replacement policy that I got had the premiums go up by several $100s a month. Now, I've turned 60, so I am, I suppose, one of the seniors. My premiums went up, but that was offset by the fact that my deductibles went up. You guessed it, not down, up.
Right.
And the copays went up. Well, the next year, the same thing happened again because the new policy, there are things in Obamacare that trigger the ending of a particular policy so that a lot of policies cannot be compliant year by year. Well, I had that happen to me as well, and so, yet again, the premiums went up, the deductibles went up, and the copays went up, and I'm not the only person that's been having this happen. Of course, as a small business owner, I am very much a target because of the structure of Obamacare. But seniors are generally, even if they aren't small business owners. And so as the premiums go up, folks need to get insurance someplace. Well, for many years, people have gotten their insurance, health insurance, through their employers. And since it's costing a whole lot more for employers to provide these policies, they cut the hours, because if you're not a full-time employee, then the employer doesn't have to provide the insurance per Obamacare. And so that means that folks are ending up with 2-3 part-time jobs just to be able to buy their own insurance policy. And if you're a senior, I'm feeling this in my own body. Things start to fall apart. I have to go to the doctor. I have to have medicines, and so things start becoming more and more expensive. So as seniors are footing more and more higher and higher bills, it puts a tax on the money that they have available to take care of themselves, especially somebody who's retired. And
so let me get this straight. You're attributing more bankruptcies to the front end of Obamacare, which would be the front end cost, meaning the premium increases and the increases to the cost to business owners. Where
well, there is that to the back end cost as well, because folks end up having fairly large medical bills, and if a doctor is unwilling to take care of you because
of the reimbursement reductions, right?
Exactly. Right. Then you end up having more out-of-pocket expenses, and more out-of-pocket expenses, if you have limited income, leads to bankruptcy. And so while bankruptcy filings for the last year or two have gone down some, I'm starting to see just a little bit of an uptick now. And in fact, I had somebody call yesterday who had just come out of the hospital and now had a gargantuan bill. And it turned out that although the person thought the insurance was going to cover it, it didn't cover it, and now that person needs to file for bankruptcy protection.
Right. That was my next question, is if you see bankruptcies going up, and if not, do you predict a spike? Do you predict that they will increase? And I guess you answered both of them, that you haven't seen them, but you expect them to.
I personally am seeing it, and I expect this to happen more and more across the country. Now, I can only, of course, for Southern California, because that's where I'm based. I'm in Whittier, and so you might say I have somewhat of a self-selected audience here of people I serve, and it might not be the same as folks in Omaha, Nebraska, but there are economic principles that are the same coast to coast. And eventually the government is going to have to cut back, is going to have to ration, if for no other reason than the huge national debt, which grows very, very rapidly every year, is going to take more and more of the budget. So the money that would have been devoted towards paying for medical care under Obamacare is going to have to be funneled into paying the interest on the national debt. And, of course, we need a military. We have all these other things. Sure. Somewhere along the line, we're looking in our radar at a Greece-like meltdown. And I think Obamacare is one of the reasons. And so as the government has to cut back on funding these things, because it just doesn't have the money anymore to take care of the medical costs of seniors, of people who are insured under Obamacare, what that's going to lead to is people having to pay their own way on the medical care. And as that happens, unless their incomes shoot up commensurately, they're going to be facing bankruptcy.
Now, Nick, by the time your clients walk in the front door, it's too late. They've already had these gigantic expenses, and they're already about to declare bankruptcy or need to. However, that being said, what are you doing? And I know you are writing articles and so forth, and I know you have a blog. What are you doing to forewarn people about this before they do have to come in and become one of your clients?
Well, you mentioned I have a blog, Southern California Bankruptcy Law blog, in which I address these things. And, of course, I talk to people who do come in the door. I also have taught seminars and taught specifically about bankruptcy. And so the issue of dealing with debt, and in particular dealing with medical debt, comes up in these presentations. So as much as possible, I try to get the word out. The problem is there is a louder voice, and that is the voice of the government. And there are people that I think just take at face value whatever the government says. That if the government says this is good, well, it must be good. And I think a more critical eye has to be targeted towards the things that government officials say. So when they promise that everything is going to be just fine and we're going to have, streets paved with gold, we have to be a little bit suspicious that something is afoot here that doesn't quite make sense.
People our age, you and I are the same age. One thing I have found, and we talked about this earlier, is how our culture has kind of been conditioned, especially Americans, to not want to hear any bad news. They just don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. It can't be that bad. The debt bubble can't be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. The stock market looks like it's going to continue to go. Obamacare doesn't seem like it's impacted me. It must be in my rearview mirror. And I've found that most Americans are not proactive. They're reactive. And that most of the people that I talk to and see, they don't look for and seek help or answers until after it's too late. After the bomb's already blown up underneath them. The landmine's already gone off.
In fact,
that's why you and I are trying to forewarn people to pay attention. Right.
Right. The people I serve are people that didn't pay attention, and they come in because they need bankruptcy. Now, having said that, I don't want to attack my clients because I think they're good people. I have generally felt that the people that come through my door are honest people who've suddenly faced some sort of catastrophe, whether it's a job loss or a healthcare catastrophe, and they need help. But it doesn't help.
Or they weren't fortunate enough to hear our forewarning, Nick.
Well, there is that too. Yes, I agree, Rick.
That's right. They weren't fortunate enough, like the folks on this radio show, to hear our forewarning. So, a couple more things is, you do mention in your last blog, I think I read it, is that you dispute the administration's claims that the economy is improving. What are you seeing in your practice in particular that contradicts the media and the government's claim that the economy is improving?
Well, every person that comes through my door eventually has to show me their pay stubs and their income tax returns for several years. And when I look at these and compare what was happening in the past, incomes are going down, at least for the people I serve. And you might say, well, of course, these are people in bankruptcy, but a few years ago, they were also people in bankruptcy. And yet I'm seeing more people with part-time jobs, maybe 2 or 3 jobs, and their total income is going down. And I'm having more people coming through the door who don't have work at all, and they haven't been able to find work for quite some time, and that's why they're going through a bankruptcy, because they no longer can keep robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it's because the jobs just aren't there. Now, you might look in the newspaper and it says, oh, the jobs are here in California, unemployment is down. The problem with that is when you toss in people who are underemployed, who have part-time jobs and say they are employed, it's not quite the same thing as saying, well, everybody's got a good job and we're all living in the land of plenty. Yes, there are people who are working who are considered to be employed, but if they're working 15, 20 hours a week, is that really what we want to think of as a person who's employed? And so there's a big underclass that seems to be growing of people who are underemployed, and they are still part of the rosy statistic that unemployment is dropping.
Well, Dr. Gebelt, I want to thank you for being on the show. You've been a fabulous guest, as expected. It's great to meet another kindred spirit. You and I they're calling us Chicken Little these days, Nick, but pretty soon they're going to be calling us Paul Revere. For those listeners that want to be able to get a hold of you or have some questions for you, your website is?
www.goodbye goodbye2debt.com, but the 2 is the digit 2.
Right, so that's www.goodbye, the number 2, debt, so goodbye2debt.com. And your address, once again, I wrote it down, is www.southern.california.bankruptcy.law.blog, right?
.com, that's right. Southern California bankruptcy.law.blog.com. And they can also give me a call if anybody wants to. I'm at 562-777-9159. And sometimes I get calls from all over the country. I will say I'm only licensed to practice in California, so I can't give legal advice if you don't live in California. But if nothing else, I can give you a referral to somebody in your particular part of the country that may be able to help you. But bankruptcy is, I think, a very good thing. Believe it or not, it's in the Constitution, and the very first article is one of the enumerated powers of Congress. It's also in the Bible, and you might look that up in Deuteronomy chapter 15. The first 2 verses mandate bankruptcy every 7 years in ancient Israel. So it is a good thing. What's not such a good thing is when government policy forces people into bankruptcy. Life is filled with all sorts of uncertainty, and, sometimes you'll face an upheaval in your life that just happened. It was unforeseen. What you don't want is the government contributing to the economic climate that drives people into bankruptcy. That's the problem with Obamacare. So, yes, bankruptcies are going to start marching their way up in numbers because of Obamacare. And the sad thing here is, while I think bankruptcy is a good thing, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. What I object to is that the government is the cause.
Thank you once again. Amen. Amen to that, Nick. Dr. Nicholas Gebelt, attorney at law, certified bankruptcy specialist here in the state of California. We'll be right back.
Attention seniors on Medicare, business owners, and those about to retire. If you aren't listening to Safe Money Talk with Rick Leweg, then you aren't getting the whole truth about your money and how to protect it from the erosive forces all around you. Turn into Safe Money Talk with Rick Leweg every Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. on Kcaa.
The other station claims to be local. Since when is Glendale local? KCAA, your true local station.
Welcome back to Safe Money Talk with Rick Leweg. To wrap up the show tonight, we've had 2 special guests, and both guests were talking about potential bankruptcy caused by the Affordable Care Act. Now, you might be wondering, what in the heck does Obamacare have to do with my money, my finances? Well, we talk about that on every single show. And I do want to tell you this, is that money management is much more than how much you make. It's how much you protect. And especially in these days and times, there's so many threats. If you're a business owner, if you're a senior, if you're just an individual working guy, there are so many threats today to your finances, to your retirement nest egg in your business. It's much more than you see on the media. It's not just a financial global meltdown. It's not just a change in the stock market. It's not just interest rates going up. It's so many more things. And all of these things are like landmines all around you, everywhere. And one of them, one of the big ones, is a potential catastrophic medical expense caused by this new law and the holes that it exposes you to financially. And in this show, that's one of the things that we do, is we talk about how to protect your money and the tools that you can use. Every week we talk about this. We're going to talk about it every single week going forward. Remember to tell all your friends and relatives and neighbors and your business owner, your employer, to tune in every Tuesday to KCAA 1050 AM to Safe Money Talk with Rick Lee Wag. If you're a business owner, you are absolutely not going to want to miss next week's show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Exploring science in the sea. The ocean